Hello YouTube, this is Arrow.
And Connor.
Airsoft DC, and we're going to have a Road to Eastwind comparison video between our two AKs. Now, I have purchased secondhand I purchased the JG AK-74S, that's the side-folding stock version.
And I have traded my old AK for the D-Boys AK-74 with full stock.
Alright, so it's a pretty decent comparison, not only between the two types of guns and their disadvantages and advantages, but also between the two companies and prices and all that. So, let me tell you about mine first. Now, I did buy this secondhand, and it was modified when I purchased it. That means that they downgraded the FPS and removed the electric blowback system, which I recommend you do if you intend to do any long-term games like Eastwind is. So, it does have that. Now, I think it's even with the folding stock, well, it actually makes sense because it's more metal. It's a bit heavier, and well, that's the main difference. It's a bit heavier, and the externals are I think the externals are a bit more solid. The finish is a bit more solid anyway. It does have its problems, like the spring in here is loose, and more importantly, I think this flash hider is really annoying because the entire thing is entirely plastic and orange. So I've taped it out. You can get it replaced, it's very easy, but it's still very annoying. But since this is a folding stock variant, it will be better for close range, and I think storage makes it's a bit easier to store, and it's a bit easier if you're getting into more close ranges as a whole. But overall, I do really like the gun, and well, I'd recommend it, but let's hear what the other camp is.
Okay. Well, as I said, I have the D-Boys AK-74, and while it may not be as heavy as Arrow's, it is for mainly all the parts that are steel on Arrow's are steel on mine, which we just found out actually. The parts that aren't steel are the charging handle, the gas tube, and the sight. That's it. Oh, and the barrel too. But that's it. Now, one of the disadvantages of my gun compared to Arrow's is that I can't really do CQB as well as he. He has the availability to pretty much turn it into an SMG practically, size-wise. Me, I can't. I have to stick with the full stock. So, mine's better for field, but that's about it. Granted, you can do CQB with it, but it's not as recommended. Now, I haven't had really any troubles with this, except for the little retaining lever and the slight stock wobble, but it's a great gun. This actually is full steel as well, the flash hider, so you really don't have to go out and spend an extra $20-30 getting a new flash hider, so that's also a plus.
Yeah, like I said, I will have to replace the flash hider, so that is a bit annoying. I don't know why JG has done that. The last JG gun I had also had a huge orange flash hider on it that I had to cover. But, yeah, well, like I said, there are some parts that aren't steel. Basically all the parts that his are. Mostly this kind of upper assembly here is not steel. I'd say it's heavier metal, but it's not quite steel. But the charging handle is very heavy, and I'm pretty sure it is. Except for that part which broke off in the mail. So, watch out for that.
Magnet test.
Yeah. But, this one part is a bit fragile there. The actual handle of the charging handle. It broke off in the mail, which is quite annoying.
Although, to tell you the truth,
but it's a common.
Most of the charging handles on the AKs are very temperamental.
Yeah,
if you drop it on any of them, except for the SEMAs, the older SEMAs seem to be okay. But any of the newer D-Boys, VFCs, JGs,
yeah,
even the newer SEMAs, if you drop them on the charging handle, you're screwed.
Yeah, so look out for that. That actually didn't happen when I was playing. That happened just in the mail. So that is something you do have to look out for. Now, this gun, in its original condition from a licensed airsoft retailer, will go about $185. So it is a bit more expensive than his.
But that's because you're buying the blowback.
But that's because you're buying the blowback version. Now, that is kind of cool, but as you can see, this one was actually disengaged in the first place. So I never got to use the blowback, and to be perfectly honest, the blowback on guns that aren't G&G, which is pneumatic, are still dangerous to gears. So you should probably disengage it anyway, unless you get the G&G versions that all have pneumatic blowback. But so those are the disadvantages of my gun, mostly.
Now, one of the similar things that Arrow's gun and my gun both have in common, Arrow, if you could unfold your stock and pick yours up, is that we both have a side mount rail, and that's so you can actually mount the proper PSOP, PSO, and even Cobra sights, or various other the actual. It's like a mount, and then it has a rail on top, so you can mount your own optics. So that is actually kind of the cool thing about these. Or you could even put an NPSU night vision scope on it, which would actually which would actually make his gun look really cool. But he doesn't have $450, I don't think, and I don't either.
Otherwise, I'd have bought the BSC.
Yeah.
Or the real sword.
Or the real sword.
Yeah.
Which actually, I hear they're coming out with an AKM.
Oh. God, I love real sword.
Anyway, real sword, wet dream. So moving on. Now the cool thing about both of our weapons is they can both accommodate real steel furniture and other parts like rear sights, of course the furniture, gas tubes, front sights, flash hiders, stocks, probably even the trigger guard.
But not the hand grip, because that is to accommodate a motor.
Right, or the actual top dust cover. You cannot use a real one because the real ones are actually slightly shorter. So unfortunately you cannot do that, which I think would be cool if it would work.
Unless you buy the real sword.
Yeah, hold on, real sword is spec.
Yeah.
So, but aside from that,
basically, yeah.
It's actually quite well balanced.
Yeah, I can't do that. Well, I might, but I'm not going to try.
You gotta balance it on the grip.
Oh,
anyway, moving on back to the comparison. I mean, they are both same length. They're sister weapons, essentially, real deal wise. They are exactly the same, except that his folds and mine doesn't.
Which is very annoying on mine if you haven't watched my other video. Yeah, there we go. There we go.
So, I mean, I don't believe this is very good for left-handed people, personally.
Which
it just feels awkward to me.
It's troublesome for me.
So, and he's ambidextrous, so.
Which, I guess I can go over to this side.
AKs just aren't for left-handed people, so if you're not left-handed, don't get an AK. Or if you're left-handed, if you're left-handed, don't buy an AK.
Don't buy an AK unless
you can modify.
Unless you're going to Eastwind and you really want one and you can deal with it. Although that is another thing I gotta say. This selector guard on mine is probably one of the best I've ever had, considering almost all the guns I've ever owned have had selector switch problems. And it's very good. It's a very good selector switch, very solid. It scratches the paint a bit, but that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
That's just the cool part. Mine doesn't have that much of a reassuring click. However, I do know when I select it, I can just feel it now. But
so if you can get used to the really weird Russian system of their selector switches,
the full auto first and then semi later.
Finish them off.
Yeah. So. I don't know. I'd recommend my gun. What about you, Arrow?
I gotta say I'd recommend mine.
Well, then there you go, folks.
It really is up to you. Do you want the... Well, you can get a full stock version of this as well. But it kind of depends. Are you willing to spend the extra money and have the external quality and the blowback? Or do you want to save the money and then probably modify it a bit more because you have more money to spend?
Yeah, or get mags.
So it really does just depend on your needs. Oh yeah, that does remind me. This isn't the original mag. The original mag did break after a bit of repeated use, so do be cautious. And I recommend.
That's kind of the thing with high caps. High caps are fairly temperamental.
High caps in general are dangerous, so I'd recommend buying a lot of mid caps, especially if you're going to games and Eastwind and all that.
And 100 mid caps.
So really, it's up to you on what you choose to do, and really, which brand you prefer, and what your needs are. I gotta say, as far as the external build, I think this is better. But as far as internal, you have to do a lot less to fix it, to change things on here. But,
although, actually, the external on this was pretty good as well.
The external's good, but this one's a bit better.
Yeah.
And the internals are good, but this one requires a lot less modification. So it really does depend on your particular needs, and really what you want to do.
Well, I'd say that would be a pretty good comparison video, Arrow.
I say that's a good wrap-up.
Well, I'm Connor.
I'm Arrow.
With Airsoft DC.
Have a nice day.
Harold, did you know our beers suck?
Bastard. You're lucky I
hit it again.
That.
And today we did a comparison, with pretty much. Well, we did rate of fire and accuracy. Hello YouTube, I'm Connor with Airsoft DC, and today Arrow and I are going to be doing the quick mag change, ROF, and accuracy tests of both of our AKs, seeing that they're almost exactly identical. So I'm going to go first and do a rate of fire test. So first on semi, nice strong sound. Now on fully. So I think it's a good ROF. So that's mine. Arrow, it's all you.
Hello YouTube, this is Arrow with Airsoft DC, and this is my rate of fire test and accuracy test for the JG AK-74S. So first, rate of fire test. First on semi. There's actually a ringing there from all the metal, so note that. And yeah, full auto. Wait, sorry. There we go. There you go. This is Arrow with Airsoft DC. On to the accuracy.
Hello YouTube, I'm Connor with Airsoft DC, and right now we're going to do the accuracy test of the D-Voice AK-74.
Okay. Hello YouTube, this is Arrow with Airsoft DC, and this is our accuracy test for the JG AK-74S. I will be unfolding it for the purposes of accuracy.
And you know they did well enough.
They did well enough. Now, for rate of fire test, I'm pretty sure my gun fires a bit faster. It's not much, but it is a bit faster. However, for accuracy, his gun is more accurate, and there's two reasons. Now, remember in my reviews I was saying that the spring on the rear sight is loose? Yeah, that throws off your accuracy quite a bit. So if it does that to you, replace it immediately. And more importantly, something I can't really fix is when when the stock's in place, the stock does wobble a very small amount. That throws you off as well. It's just the nature of the gun that it's not going to be as accurate as this with the fixed stock, but it could be improved greatly if I replace the rear sight spring. So his gun is a bit more accurate, and even with the fixed spring it would still be a bit more accurate, but there you go.
What about stopping power-wise, Arrow? Whose gun do you think wins with stopping power?
You know, it's hard to tell, considering we haven't done...
Do you still have the battery in yours?
Yeah.
Okay, well, flip her on semi. Yours sounds like it has a bit more to it.
Mine does seem to have a bit more power. Now, if you buy them stock, mine will still have a bit more power by about 30 FPS, but again, we both recommend down in the FPS.
That would be extremely dangerous.
That would be very dangerous, very painful, and we do recommend down in the FPS.
Actually, we're telling you to.
We're telling you to. If you intend to play Airsoft, down the FPS on these. It's a Chinese thing. I don't know why they do it, but they do. But that's our entirety of our comparison between the JG, AK-74S,
and the D-Boys, AK-74.
So, without further ado, this is Arrow.
And Connor.
With Airsoft DC.
And have a nice day. Hi!